Welcome to another edition of the Morning Cup sponsored by Kestrel Aircraft.
This is Todd Lohenry, the manager of digital and social media at Kestrel Aircraft. And I don't know if there's ever a time when I felt more like a thorn among the roses than I do right now, but I'm here with Amelia Rose Earhart, the aviatrix who recently circumnavigated the globe in her Pilatus PC-12. Not only was this a huge success story for aviation, for single-engine turboprops, but also for women and for diversity in aviation. And all of us in the aviation community are really proud of what it is that you've done. Before we were talking, I asked you, like, what is the one question that no one else has asked? And I was surprised that no one had said anything about the role of digital media and social media in your trip. Could you talk about that with us for a moment?
Sure. First of all, thank you for having me on. Thank you for your kind words as well. The social media component of this trip was absolutely critical to the success of the mission. And the reason is we're moving into a new era. It's not all about print marketing. It's not all about television exposure. Those are still very important. But the future aviators and the future aviatrixes, if that's the word, are on social media, and that's how they engage. They wake up, and before they tune into the local news update, they open their Twitter page, they open their Facebook page. And for that 18 days when we were on the flight around the world, we know that we were the first thing popping up in their social media feeds. And that's great, because if they can wake up and see that first thing, then they start exploring from there. The amount of exposure that our 21 partners got on social media, I think, was really exciting. In fact, prior to the trip, Pilatus Aircraft didn't have a Twitter feed or a Facebook page, but along the way, they started one up, and they've seen great exposure as well, already getting a ton of engagement since the flight.
That's awesome. So not only are you breaking ground in terms of aviation, but also in the application of social media to this space.
I hope so, because when we're looking for inspiration and looking for that one thing that's going to kickstart you towards your goal, for me anyways, it's about watching a video on YouTube. It's about watching a high energy film that's going to get me engaged with my version of adventure. And so for me, posting the pictures of the sunrises over Kilimanjaro, or the sand dunes that we saw off the coast of eastern Brazil, those types of striking images are things that I can pop up on social media very easily and get people engaged in their personal pursuit of adventure.
Now, there was one thing that concerned me in your presser the other day, and that was to hear that you were tweeting while you were flying around Howland Island. Here in Wisconsin, we can't text and drive at the same time. Are you saying it's okay to tweet and fly?
I was lucky enough to have a co-pilot on this flight with me, Shane Jordan, who, of course, we manage things very safely. We also have the autopilot on when we were up at altitude. So the social media component was really our last priority in the cockpit. It was fly safely first and foremost across the entire mission. Once it came to the social media, it was like, oh, I better send a tweet out, just saw something amazing. And so we'd type it out. It was basically a handheld DeLorme device that I would sync to my phone, and I was able to use that to text very quickly, tweet very quickly, and it was a GPS signal that allowed me to do all of that. I could blast it out to Facebook, I could simultaneously blast it out to Twitter, and then on the ground we were using Instagram photos to show off the beauty of the world.
And I was following you on every channel, and as an adjunct professor at Northeast Wisconsin Technical College, I want you to know that you got an A+ on this flight.
Thank you very much. I have a theory behind social media, and it's that, I want people to repeatedly visit the page. And while they're never going to know what to expect once they get there, they'll always leave with the same emotion and the same feeling, and that's optimistic, inspired adventure. And that's what it's all about. So different content with always the same feeling.
That's very good. Very good use of social media. So you can find this interview and much more interesting content at themorningcup.net. Please join us there, and thank you for joining.
Thank you for having me.